Rockwall Ford is a proud sponsor of Rockwall County Game Day. Shop the rock and score game-changing savings on our all-American lineup of new Fords. Shop our entire inventory online at rockwallford.com or build your truck your way at preordermyf150.com.
But 100% like in our corner.
Very thorough. They cover everything. They're there for you every step of the way.
It was just great. I felt really taken care of.
Hardworking, trustworthy, and very, very effective.
Hello and welcome to More Than Just a Game, a little show that we do here on Wednesday nights at Rockwall Ford. I'm Chris Pena, joined by Mr. Brandon Neighbors and Mr. Kevin Wingfield. We got a lot to go over tonight, and no hiding this right
Not
here.
this week.
It is I-30 Classic Week. It is my favorite week of the school year. There's nothing like football in high school football in Texas, Friday Night Lights, and there's nothing like this I-30 Classic rivalry. You want to talk about 10,000, 11,000 plus people filling up these stands, the tailgating that goes on, the way this community just comes out for this game. It's gonna be fun this year. We're gonna talk a lot about the I-30 Classic. We do have a special guest. Coming on tonight around 7 o'clock, and he will be here to pick the game. So if you don't know, Batman will be in the house to pick this game. Batman's 2-0. He knows a little something. So we'll see where Batman takes us this year. Listen, I've got pictures of me and my wife up on the screen because on September 20th, back in 2014, we were married. So it's my anniversary tonight. So I want to let my wife know. I left her some stuff at home and wish her a happy anniversary. But I didn't. Normally I make a Facebook post, but I wanted to kind of hold on to it for the show and wish my wife a happy 9th anniversary. I'm not even sure how she put up with me for 9 years, but I'm super blessed. And Denise, if you're watching, and I know she will go back and watch because she's my biggest critic. She loves to let me know how many I got in there and I got in there. So as I drop one
There's
there,
one there.
There's one there. Denise, I love you very much. Thank you for all the support throughout this whole Rockwall County Game Day. It's been a real test for us. There's nothing easy on the home front about what this does, because this requires a lot of attention, a lot of time away from home and being at these events and things like that. So my wife, Denise, happy 9 years, happy anniversary to you. And thank you for all the support throughout the year. I'm going to leave these up in that first segment. So if people are wondering why I'm up there with, I've outkicked my coverage for sure. No doubt about it. It's okay if you want to say it out loud, but she's amazing, and we have 2 amazing children, and so thank you, Denise, for 9 great years. It is I-30 Classic Week. We're going to go over some football. Obviously, we're gonna talk about Heath first, right after 6 o'clock. Then we're going to talk about some Roy City. I wrote the Bulldogs off in their game, and then all of a sudden they come storming back, and they had a chance to get in there. Again, this is about getting better week to week, and sometimes it took them a while to get going. We'll talk a little bit, Brandon, about what you saw in that game, but regardless, kudos to the Bulldogs, the coaching staff, for sticking with it and playing the game, because they were. I wasn't there, but regardless if it's breaks, some things went their way or they just kept plugging away. They got back in that game. They had a chance. We'll talk about the Bulldogs after Heath. Then we'll switch over to Rockwall. We'll talk a little bit about them and their win the other night. And I was at that game. And then we'll end the night with some picks. I think I do not pick that game. I stay away from the I-30 Classic picking because I love both. And we haven't even bought a home yet because we're renting like 2.5 years, who knows? I could end up on the south side. I could end up on the north side.
Oh, I thought you were trying to see who won the game.
Exactly.
No.
You're gonna get-
Which real estate agent's going to come be a sponsor?
Yeah.
Is what I was looking for.
M&D Real Estate
There
is
you
our
go.
is our
I
sponsor.
saw Danny Perez Friday night.
Yes,
There you go.
we've got we need to go over the Jackson Smith and Jigbo Award. It goes out to the Rockwall County Game Day Player of the Year. There's some kids doing some things right now, so we're gonna be talking about some individual play and things like that. But we have again a lot to get to. I want to start as this segment is brought to you by Rockwall Ford. Shop the Rock, rockwallford.com. They're full. They got tons of trucks out here.
Yeah.
There's a couple of trimmers out there that I'm eyeing, but I don't think the wife's going to let me just yet because I think we're maybe trying to buy a home.
Hey,
soon
that'd be a
enough.
great anniversary present. Just saying.
It would, but a home would be much better because want to get into a home. But I think the first thing that I want to start with tonight is let me pull this down real quick so I can make some room. Did you guys see my post about the baseball player out of Heath, the 19-year-old who was drafted by the
was that Jet?
What's that kid's last name?
Yeah, something like
Jet
that.
something.
I think I've heard of him a couple of times.
I'm gonna move this over.
Heard he's
my
a pretty
way.
decent ball player.
Yeah. And his
The-
dad's kind of cool.
Yeah,
the New
his
York
dad's all right.
Mets minor league player of the year, Jet Williams. How about that for a 19-year-old out of Rockwall Heath? And for him to get drafted, we talked a little bit about some pressure and about some of the things that go on with these kids. But your son's in the baseball world. He understands the pressure on the stages, these big time games in the Big 12, and of course he's. Tyson's, going to have his time soon enough with this whole draft thing. But 19 years old, he has done nothing but excel every time, they've asked him to, hey, we're going to promote you. And he goes from low A to high A. He absolutely tears it up. And then they switch him over to double A. And here again, he's just in the starting lineup right away. He's producing. He had a big 3-run home run last night in their game 1 of their postseason series. So Jet Williams, player of the year for the Mets. I mean, what can you say about that? I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start to a professional career.
No, not at all. I'm telling you, though, the thing that I like most about Jet is there's people in this community on both sides of I-30 that badmouthed him as a player going through, and I heard it. Oh, he's so little. Oh, he's not going to be able to do this. Oh, they just got him hyped up. I don't know why he's not pitching. He ought to be pitching for his team. And this kid had his eyes on the MLB, and he wasn't listening to the smoke. He wasn't listening to the white noise. His parents weren't listening to it, and it's hard. I'm telling you, when you're in the stands with people that are bad-mouthing you throughout your entire career, and even people that are a little older than you, when he came in as a freshman, sophomore playing, some of the juniors and seniors didn't like that. But now you're seeing why they didn't like it,
Exactly.
really. Was he a little rough early on? Sure. But, I mean, you could just see the athleticism all over him. And for the people that continue to bad-mouth him about being too small, being too little, hey, you don't have what it takes. I mean, again, can't measure the heart. And you also can't measure the mindset. And although Jet Williams was fired up, I'm sure, about the home run that he hit against the Yanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing that he's going to go home thinking about is, why did I have those Ks during that game?
Yeah, no.
And that's what the great ones do. I hate to be like that to people like, we're just celebrate all the wins. But it's not about the wins. The reason he's where he's at is because of the failures. The failures are where you learn. You either win or you learn, in my opinion. And he's done a lot of learning along the way, and he's so resilient, and I'm super proud of him. But, even more so, and the parents never, really get credit. But at the end of the day, you don't end up having a kid that's doing what he's doing at the level he's doing it at without parent support, but also parent criticism.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You're not going to just sit there and, oh, well, it's okay, baby. We're going to be doing it better next time. No. Why did you mess up?
Yeah.
Where did you mess up? How can we go about fixing
ownership?
Taking ownership and respecting the game. Jet Williams respects the game.
You were close. I mean, you were close
I
to that.
sat there and watched him. I watched the kid play for a couple of years with the boys out there. Clay was on the state championship team with him. And the one thing that always stood out to me about Jet, it didn't matter if you were 9 or 99.
There's Mr. Branch.
It didn't
Mr.
matter
James Branch will join us after the break. So
who you were. When you would come up, when a 5-year-old kid would walk up to the net to Jet Williams. I mean, Jet could have just said, look, hey, here I am. But that kid put his hand up for a high five. Jet gave him a high five. He was always talking to those kids. And, that always stood out to me about how he respected the game, how he was a leader, and also how he got on that field and he showed everybody what it took to be a ball player.
Yeah.
Not only just a ball player, but a good human being. And kudos to Coach Harvey for that too. Because Coach Harvey instilled a lot of that in him too.
And Coach Harvey was tough on him.
Ooh, boy, Coach Harvey's tough on all of them.
But I'm just saying, but that is a good thing versus a bad thing for him. He responded well. So
yeah, really cool. They will, and I don't know if this is public news yet, but they're going to do something for him, a little ceremony, honor him at Citi Field on September 28th. And I'm going. I'll be there.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I'm gonna get to see it front row, and so it's gonna be really cool to see him get rewarded for that. But you're right though. I mean, as far as he hit the home run, but he had some Ks. When I found out about this, Player of the Year thing, I was like, man, I picture. I told his dad, I was like, I picture him. Being really happy, big smile, and then saying, okay, got to go to work.
Yeah.
And it's over, right? It's a massive deal to a lot of people, and I'm sure it's a big deal to him, but right now he's like, how do I get better? How do I get, I'm trying to get to the big show.
I talked to his dad last night and just to congratulate him. And, it's not like he and I have talked a ton over the years, but I felt like I need to reach out and say something because that's a huge accomplishment. And, the biggest thing with Jet is he's going to continue to be that guy that's going to celebrate short little celebrations and continue to set goals a little bit higher and get higher because it's his expectation. Yeah. And the Mets haven't had a kid supposedly in many, many years that has went through the ranks as fast as he has. And a lot of people out there think, you get drafted, you're already a pro. And you're not. You're rookie ball, you're A, you're high A, you're double, you're high double, and then you go triple, and then you're in the majors. But Double-A baseball is really one of the most competitive parts, other than the majors, that there is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think it's Triple-A, and it's really not. It's that Double-A side is uber competitive. Yeah. So he's doing a great job.
Those are all the guys right on the cusp. Yeah. Yep. So. Congrats, Jet Williams. Keep doing your thing. They play again tomorrow night, game 2 of their series. I had to look it up because I was like, well, man, how long do they play? It's just a 4-man thing, and I think they the 2 winners, and then they'll go play their championship series. So, congrats to Jet as I put my wife back up on the screen because it's our anniversary tonight. So I'm dedicating this first segment to my wife, Denise, for 9 years of marriage. So I shout out to my wife. Before we go to break, let's talk really quick. The Colorado State game. And
what a ball game.
I responded. There was something on Facebook or it was Twitter. I don't remember which one it was, but I said they were talking about the hit, and I said Travis Hunter, the young man for Colorado, he's plays wide receiver and DB. He's special, just crazy. He gets that late hit on him, and it was obviously he's got his liver was lacerated liver. But somebody said something. I go, when you talk trash and you because I think he was quoted in ESPN or SportsCenter caught him saying walking on the field before the game like y'all messed with the wrong team. You're all bark, no bite. And I said something like, hey, when you put yourself in situations where you make yourself a target, things like that happen, and people were like, oh my God, I can't believe you condone this. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not condoning it. What I'm saying is when you go out past midnight and you go out barking, trouble's going to find you somewhere. And eventually you're going to mess with the wrong dude and somebody's going to say, hey, we can bite. He got bit. Yeah. Well, so I don't know. I thought it was an interesting topic. Unfortunately, the Colorado State kids getting death threats and things like that.
And that's come on, man. It's a football game. It was a hit. It happens every week. You see a hit like that in high school.
Yeah.
You see it in college. You see it in the pros. The kid made a mistake on the hit. All right, and watching it, It was late, yes, but he was also moving. It's the game. It's your interstate rival. You got however many people, 60,000 fans there cheering, screaming, and hollering. You're winning,
And he knows who he's about to
and
hit.
you know who you're about to hit, and you took his shot. Okay,
Yeah.
Would it have been different if the kid wouldn't have got hurt?
Man, I can tell you, 20 years ago, nobody would have even talked about that hit.
Nope, not a bit.
So nowadays it's illegal.
yeah.
Nowadays I think it was targeting.
Yeah.
It wasn't called targeting. The guy wasn't ejected. So within the rules, there's some things that could have went down that didn't. But you saw Dion's response today, and even Hunter put out there on Twitter that, you know what, I'm not mad at him. I'll forgive him. It is what it is. But I can promise you this. If they ever have a chance to play them again, there'll be a target on the other dude. And,
yes.
and you don't even have to say it. It's just amongst the kids. I know when we played in high school, all they had to do was mention someone's name a few times during the week, and we knew. They actually would hang a jersey up above our lockers of the number of the kids that if they were hit hard, that we win the game. And I guarantee you that kid's number would be hanging in a locker room if we were to play them again. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
But with you talking about, hey, he brought it on himself, that's the game nowadays, man. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that it's real.
Yeah.
Because people get out there and they're bumping their gums in pregame. I mean, Shadur's showing his watch to people. He's driving around in I don't even know how much the car is. I just know that car's got to cost a ton of cash.
It's a rolls. Yeah,
he's making more money than he's making more money than NFL
Well,
players.
Yeah, no,
so at the end of the day, they're on a different level. But I actually personally like Dion. I like what he's doing. I like what he did at the other school at Jackson State. And I feel like he's bringing a lot of hype to the game. I mean, it was the most viewed football game in all of NCAA last week.
I'm just shocked at
a Pac-12 game at 9 o'clock at night.
That's
what I'm
was the most watched game all week.
That's crazy.
There you
no,
go.
it is crazy. I am shocked at how the media is giving Dion and Colorado this recruiting platform. There's no doubt about it. They're getting a recruiting advantage now. Now we're even in the play in the field a little bit because now Alabama's like, they're like, hey man, like we don't get talked about. And I'm like, bull crap, you don't get talked about. You get your spotlight. It's just that
score more than 3 points against UAB and you can get talked about again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You didn't roll. You're limp tied right now. That's what it is.
I just we'll see if the party continues for the Colorado because now they're about to start playing some dudes and
there's going to be another chip on Dion's shoulders because this team they're playing this week, Oregon's coach is the one guy that came out and just badmouthed them the whole year, and Oregon is 21-point favorites.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens with that.
And TCU was 24-point favorites. So.
Yeah, I mean, hey, no doubt they're a good team.
Without Travis Hunter, it changes
exactly.
the game.
It changes
Yes,
the game.
it does.
It changes
Yes,
the game
it
big
does.
time. I don't think. Maybe they prove wrong. I don't know, but I don't think Colorado's ready for that yet. Let's hope they don't get the doors blown off of them because if they get run out of the gym, now it's going to be like, okay, where do you go from here?
Well, they're going to continue to get coverage because of what was said pregame. I mean, it looked like the BET Awards is what they said. I mean, that's literally what the cast said. And it's going to continue to look like that because the sponsor, I mean, everybody loves Dion that's our age.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people that hate him, but there's very few because really Dion did talk, but he was talking about himself. He never really I don't remember any quotes ever where he's bad-mouthing somebody else or talking about somebody else. He's telling you what he's about to do, and then he did it.
He did it.
Yeah.
He did it a lot.
So,
he did it well.
I mean, Shannon Sharp's on that train. I mean, you've got
he's doing one of the best recruiting jobs that we've ever seen. He's changing college football, right before our eyes. Kudos to him. I hope they continue. The problem with, and I said this about Texas in a Dave Campbell's post. Colorado and Texas, they're rising so fast that there's no room for them to fall. I mean, to mess up, because when they do, it's Texas goes from nowhere, oh, they're back again, to now they're number 3, which at this point of the season, number 3 and number 1, it's the same. It don't mean anything. It just means that you're a big time program, right? But the second that they lose, gonna just plummet, right? And it's kind of like, oh, here we go again. And so that's a dangerous. That I wouldn't want to. If I was a Texas fan, I think I would have liked to gradually see myself rise up.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'd like to be like
Exactly.
in number 10 right now, right? And then 3-4 weeks from now, I find myself after I've won a few more games, find myself up because you got nowhere else to go now but down. There, you can't go any higher.
But it's what we talked about last week. You've got these people ranking this stuff
Exactly.
that literally don't. They shouldn't even have a dog in the fight. I mean,
they moved Texas up. Texas beat Wyoming. Yes, they beat them, but they barely beat them. They had to work on it really hard in the second half at home.
They were tied 10-10 after 3 quarters.
I mean, I'm listening to that game on the way home, and
now
it
it's funny
like
because you're
it's a
Texas
pretty
people.
straight game.
Texas people are like, "Oh, Wyoming's pretty good. They're a good program. Don't sleep." And I'm like, when has Texas, anybody around here ever said Wyoming's pretty good?
They can't even find Wyoming on a map.
Come on.
So
come on. Let's be real now.
Yeah.
Let's be real now.
The Orange Bloods are for real though.
Yeah. Let's. So hey, I tell you what, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna get Mr. James Branch on there. Happy anniversary to my wife. 9 years. She's up there. She's watching. So happy anniversary to you and me. I guess. I mean, it is my anniversary too.
I still think you ought to get a truck.
Yeah. No, she already told me don't ruin it. We're off to a good start for today. Okay, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk a little Heath Hawks football. Heath just gets another win. They're doing their thing as they get ready for the I-30 Classic. It's going to be a big one this Friday night. Don't go anywhere. Share the page. We will be right back.
But 100% like in our corner.
Very thorough. They cover everything. They're there for you every step of the way.
It was just great. I felt really taken care of.
Hardworking, trustworthy, and very, very effective.
Rockwall Ford is a proud sponsor of Rockwall County Game Day. Shop the Rock and score game-changing savings on our all-American lineup of new Fords. Shop our entire inventory online at rockwall4.com or build your truck your way at preordermyf150.com.
I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a 1-to-1. I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1-to-1. I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single, let go, he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts, like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear them out. Bought a new Beamer, I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Handle my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. I'm a 1-to-1, I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1-to-1, I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Yeah, I could never borrow from no man. How you talking ownership and no land? I got my roll on, now rolling. I drive all my cars like they're stolen. You got on and put your homies out for ransom. I got on and put my homies on the program. Girls hit me in my DM tryna link up. I leave them on wreck and get a no jam. I'm a 1-to-1, I could never be you. Lil me tools, no I can't be fooled. I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a 1-to-1, I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1-to-1, I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single, let go, he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts, like that's
And we are back. We're live here at Rockwall Ford. It's I-30 Classic Week. It's a really big week, obviously, around here. Lots of other football going on, and we will get to them. But this week, obviously, the magnitude of this game and all the cool storylines that are in between it. We're going to focus on them just a minute. Hey, I'm gonna leave, boys. You talk for just a second. I'm gonna adjust this camera because I'm not really sure what.
You're gonna leave us alone to talk about the Heath Hawks?
I'm gonna leave you alone to talk about the Heath Hawks.
We'll
Hang
talk
on
about
one
Dak
second.
while he's gone.
Yeah.
Right. Well, before we get started, I think she's the one that needs the happy anniversary, not him. She's the one that.
There's Mustangs out there.
She suffers,
I mean, it is their anniversary,
Right.
and he spends it with us.
Right.
That should say a lot about him right there.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm excited about this game, guys. I was thinking all day today when we were getting ready to talk, and because this is what the show's all about, right? You would think you would say Rockwall, but I don't have any clue. Going into this year, I really don't. I don't know.
I mean, if I don't know if we're doing the picks this segment or not, but I'm telling you, all day with money on the line, I would only pick Rockwall this year. And I hate to say that because I've got a lot of buddies that are at Heath, and I know they're going to fight their hearts out. But the strengths that I see just watching some games is Rockwall can throw the ball. Rockwall, I feel like, can defend the run. Rockwall can run. Heath, I don't feel like can defend the pass very well. And I feel like that's what Rockwall's going to do to them. And I'm not saying they can. I'm just saying that's what I've seen.
Well, I say
and I try
that,
to be real.
I say that only because week after week after week, we've seen Heath improve, fix this, fix that. They've gotten better and better and better. So you got to wonder, okay, they know what the strengths that Rockwall has, obviously. So what are they going to do now? Because they got coaches that are masters. They know what to do. So I just wonder. I really was thinking today. I'm like, man, I really don't know.
Well, there's a few things that are going on here, though. You got Webb. I mean, there's so many wrinkles into what's going on. They're not going to be able to go stack right opposite this week. I mean, because if they do, somebody on the other side line is going to go.
We know what you're doing.
I know what set
exactly.
they're in. This is what they're. So they're literally going to have to be. Running play cards. I'm sure. But also sets generally have tendencies with them. So when the sets come out there, they're going to kind of understand tendency side. But with that being said, I've seen some really good coaches try to stop Rockwall's offense, and the way they tag their receivers on certain routes, the way they run their crossing routes, the way they use their Y to do Y cross and run the things kind of like pick routes, it's hard to stop. There's always a guy for Rockwall, whether if it was Xavier Castile back in the day. I mean, we've got a guy, Jackson Smith. I mean, he was pretty decent. They've always got a guy that on third and long, your mama knows, your aunt and uncle know that hadn't even seen the team. This kid's going to get it, and they find a way to rub route, run a good route, get the ball, first down, and move on.
Yeah,
and that's tough.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I think that's going to be the matchups, and I think the coaches will have a lot to say, and it's going to be fun. The Hawks come into this game 3-1. That's what they finished the preseason at. I always call it preseason. 0-0. District starts this Friday night. The Hawks they dropped the first game of the year to Geyer 42-14. They've reeled off 3 wins in a row. Trinity 31-24, Lake Ridge 37-10, and then they beat Midway at home 31-24. Of course, they're led by a few guys. Running back Tuzno, he's 399 yards on the year, 4 touchdowns. Wide receiver, they're kind of spreading the ball around. We haven't seen the big yardage, that we're kind of accustomed to seeing. The Hawks, throw it all over the field. They've got Fletcher, Fierro, Smith, and Davenport. Fletcher 183 yards, Smith 169 yards, Davenport 142 yards. Of course, really quickly, the quarterback Dutka, he comes in, he takes over for Caleb Hoover. In 3 games, he's got 323 yards, 66% completion. He's got 2 touchdowns, but he's got no interceptions. Which is he's taking care of the ball. He's doing the things that Coach Webb is asking him to do. And on the defensive side, Henley 31 total tackles. Bazell, he's got 2 interceptions. He's got a fumble. recovery. There's nothing flashy about it, but they're getting it done, and they're just playing clean football. They're not turning the ball over. They're creating turnovers. They're running the ball well, and Dutka is doing the job and getting comfortable as the starter. And I think he'll have another opportunity to take a step forward against Rockwall this week. There's no doubts about it. I've been really high on Rockwall. But in this game particularly, I kind of throw out a lot of the logic, a lot of what the stats say, because of a few things. One, it's a rivalry game. The way that these kids, the emotions that are going on, how does the young 16, 17, 18-year-olds, how are they handling that during the game? I think that will have a lot of effect on how the game is run. Then the other part, and you kind of touched on it, Coach Webb, who's a long time, he was at Rockwall. Now he's at Heath. Of course, we know Coach Brooks was under Coach Webb. They are literally running the same playbook. They're running the same offense. They're going to be running a lot of the same plays. They've changed up the verbiage, obviously, and they'll wrinkle in. They'll put some different looks in, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the same plays that they're running. That is going to that's going to be interesting, and that's why even though publicly, I think Rockwall is probably the better team at this point. I throw it all out the window, and we're going to see what happens. I don't think we're going to see is what happened last year.
No.
I don't think that's
what
gonna happen.
What on the Heath side though? I mean, do you feel like Trinity, Euless is anywhere near the teams that they used to be? Do you feel like Midway?
Well,
I mean,
let's just look at
no disrespect. I'm asking.
But look at who Trinity
straight.
beat. Who Trinity beat last week?
Yeah.
Denton Geyer.
Oh yeah. No, that was Prosper, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, was it?
Trinity beat him.
Okay.
So
it's a matchup thing.
And I talked to Coach Harrell last year and asked him. I asked him flat out, why are we playing Denton Geyer in the first game? Why are we playing Trinity this? And he had a philosophy behind it. You wanted to play a state ranked team. You wanted to play a powerhouse, which was Trinity, which it was. You wanted to play somebody you would see in the second round, which is your Mansfield area. And you wanted to see what they could do if they traveled for a long distance on a Friday, which was your Waco. Now, Denton Geyer is not the same team they were last year, and they still put it on us. Trinity is not the Steve Lineweaver powerhouse that they were before. They are still a good team. Mansfield is just not a good team. And Waco, Midway, look, we played against our old offensive coordinator, and it was personal. There were some things going around, and I know I heard some stuff on the sidelines. And it's just like you said. I'm pretty sure that most of our defensive guys knew what offense they were going to run.
Sure.
And it showed. It showed early. Don't let that score fool you from last week. We pulled our starters way too early, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it was like 31 to.
It was 31-7,
Yeah.
and we're trying to get everybody in. They're trying to get some kids in, get some playing
Well,
time.
generally on that last game is the last time they're gonna have an opportunity to get in.
Right, and kudos to get them in there, but you almost had another horn on your hands. It just I was sitting there talking to Chase Rizzel's stepdad, and the whole time, and I'm like, does this remind you of Horn? And he goes, exactly. Because, we had Horn beat pretty good last year, and all of a sudden, here they come, and we just let them keep going back into it. So I don't know. Now, I have, like you guys, these guys have got better every week. The penalties were down. The blocking was better. I do agree that, we haven't thrown any picks. But something we also got to learn how to do is we got to learn to when to throw it away.
I mean,
you got to throw the ball away instead of taking that 2-yard loss.
We got one of our guys saying that Trinity didn't beat Denton Geyer.
I think it was Prosper.
I didn't know that until right now. If it happened, I thought it was Prosper as well.
Yeah.
Well, Trinity did beat him, right?
No, it was Prosper that beat Denton Geyer.
Prosper.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought
it's all good because when you said that, it threw me back. I was like, well, dang, never mind. Because the point I was going to make.
Exactly who it was. I know Trinity beat somebody pretty.
You just
look
at Rockwall's
take
schedule,
all my notes and just throw
but
them
you look
away.
at Rockwall's schedule and who they've played, and you look at Heath's schedule and who they played, and that's what you are generally doing if you don't get to watch all the games. And I'm just saying that it seems like Rockwall has been tested, and Heath is about to get tested.
But you got to look at it right now. Rockwall's been tested, but look at Heath. Heath has been tested because you got a brand new coach. You got a brand new offense. You got the third coach in 3 years. Some of these seniors, this is their third coach they've had to do. They've had 3 different things come through here on them. So they're 3-1. They've done what they had to do. Your starting quarterback is out.
Yeah.
You got a kid that hadn't thrown a ball in here, and he's taking them to 3 wins.
Rockwall's played good, but let's not act like they hadn't been run on, right? And so he's got a good running game. So I think to your point, yeah. I mean, we kind of think that. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, Heath was 10-10 at the half with Geyer. I think or it was
14-14.
Yeah, 14-14 at halftime, right? So I mean, they've shown that they can play a really good team. At that time, it was ranked in the top 10, and play a good half, and they just didn't finish it. But sorry to interrupt there.
No, you're right. I just look at it as Rockwall has played I guess you could say they played the powerhouse teams. But once again, it goes back to, it's kind of like we talked about on baseball the other day. They played who they was put in front of them, and they've handled their business. So we're going to go out here Friday night. They're going to play who's going to be put in front of them, just like they're going to play that team right there. But you can almost throw everything out the window when it's those two teams playing against each other.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's just like it's like the Unity Bowl they had in Forney, the North Forney. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's kids that have grown up playing together, then they've split, and now they're playing against each other. And for those 48 minutes, they don't care.
I can't remember the year that I was blown away, but Rockwall was, I mean, if we were going to put them on a spread, probably a 24-point spread to win. Jackson Smith was here. I think he might have been a freshman or sophomore, but you had a number 2 that played both ways on y'all's offense that scored at the very end of the game, and they said put the ball across the line and won. And I'm telling you, before that game, I don't think anybody thought Heath was going to win. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
No,
real good athlete.
I didn't really get into it.
Chris Warren was here. Do you remember they got beat? It was pre-Rockwall County game day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was part the first when I really got into the Heath football. Of course, when the boys were up, is when we had the big 3-4 overtime, the 77-70 game, whatever it was. That's when I was up with it. So
yeah.
I can remember watching one of these games that was 2-2 for a while.
Well, let's look at really quickly before you jump in. I mean, to the point. I mean, Rockwall played a Cedar Hill program that is no longer Cedar Hill.
Nope.
They beat them. Then they play, I believe, second game is Dallas Jesuit. They get beat by Dallas Jesuit.
Jesuit's good this year.
Yeah. Prosper, was number 8 or number 9 in the state at that time. They beat Prosper, and that was a big win. And then they beat South Grand Prairie. If we just go off the rankings and just kind of all that, I don't think that I think they've played kind of the same schedules, other than that. The Denton Geyer loss had Heath beat Geyer, I think they'd have like kind of identical schedules, right? Like okay, they both played 2 really good power teams, and
powerhouse. Yes, I'm talking about high scoring, high velocity, high octane teams like that can throw the ball and score in a minute. And I feel like
Geyer's the only one that they've
I feel like Rockwall is really good at that.
Yeah.
But
Midway has the coach that has the quarterback to do it, but they don't have the personnel.
Yeah, James, you were going to chime in.
Yeah, so
there.
I think I agree. I think for this game, everything's out the window, because I think you're gonna, first of all, you can't buy a ticket, right? So you're gonna have
it's
a
good
crowd.
to have friends, I can tell you that.
Well, I'm looking for a friend too, somewhere out.
I think on StubHub the
somewhere
aftermarket
here.
They're going for like 200.
Yeah, so some of these kids will never play in front of this large of a crowd again.
No, you were there last year. It's 14,000 people.
I've never seen anything like it
on a Friday night.
And if you remember, this game last year is when it started to unravel for Heath.
Mm-hmm.
After this game.
Mm-hmm.
The difference this year is that Heath has stability. And you can say they had stability last year, but I just don't think it's the same. I think this year there is zero doubt, win or lose, where they go from here. I think it's going to come down to special teams. And last year, Rockwall's special teams play was phenomenal.
Oh, it always is.
Yeah, they had
one of the best around.
Yeah, the special teams coach is outstanding.
The special teams coach is an offensive line coach. by heart.
Yeah.
And so those guys are nuts. And it's not like I don't like Coach Young. He's probably, if he ever watches this, he's gonna be like, "Yep, neighbor said that."
And
but that dude goes all out on
they
special
do some
teams
really cool
and
stuff.
Is
They
fiery about it.
So I think it's going to come down to special teams. I think the crowd is going to play a huge factor in it. I hear you on Rockwall, but I'm not sold.
I'm just saying that's who I'm picking. I can tell you that more times than not, if Rockwall should be picked 21 points or more, they lose for some crazy. I mean, like either penalties or something crazy happens, a fumble recovery for a touchdown, pick six, whatever it is. But I'm just saying it looks like on paper and what I have seen and watching ball games that Rockwall has a pretty prolific passing air raid offense, and I think Heath has a hard time from what I've seen stopping that.
Angie Bazell says, here's the deal. If Heath loses, it will be said that it's because Hoover's hurt. If Heath wins, it will go to the credit of the coach. Bottom line, it takes a team to win a game, and everyone only focuses on one person. Teams win games, but the team is forgotten when there's a win or a loss. I mean, that's true. I mean, it's a team thing. That's what upsets me. We're not talking Cowboys or Dak, but that's what upsets me about the whole Dak thing. Is like, oh, he can't win the playoffs. I'm like, man, it's a team thing. Like you got to have everybody executing. You have to have everybody on the same page.
Right.
And in a rivalry like this, you want to make sure that, hey, if we do anything, we're together as a team, even if we get down early to get back in it.
It's like Brandon said, on paper, that's the better team. Good thing we don't play on paper on Friday nights.
That's right.
And I'll make one more comment. Up until last year, up to this point, Rockwall hadn't had any trouble at all with anybody.
Right. This is a different Rockwall team from last year, just like it's a different
They have been exposed. There has been some weakness that has been shown throughout the games. The question is now, are they going to fix it? And is Heath going to be able to capitalize on it? And I don't think up to this point last year they weren't exposed at all. So now let's see if Heath can pinpoint those weaknesses and capitalize on that.
I love a lot of the leaders on Heath's defense, and
Brady Love, Chase Brazell, CJ. Those guys have really stepped up and grown since last year.
Yeah, and that's what it takes.
I'm really impressed with that coaching staff that Webb brought in.
Yeah,
I'm really impressed with what he brought in and how they do it.
Yep.
I watched their defensive line coach the other night. This is the second game I've been to, but I was sitting close. I'm up in the stands. They just stopped someone. They just stopped Waco for a loss. I mean, it was fourth and forever, and he is up in the middle of every one of their tails on that bench, and you could hear it up there. That's the kind of fire that you need. You can't let off. You can't let off. You cannot let off.
And going back to Bazell's point, I mean, she's 100% right. It's a team win or loss, but I'm going to tell you, and it's just the reality of football because she has a great – I mean, her son can freaking play football. I mean, I love watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But this weekend when Colorado won, did you hear anything about their cornerback and how good he did or anything about their offensive line and how they blocked in the second half or their details? No, you heard about Shadur Sanders. And so I do hate that from a family perspective and from a parent perspective. But at the end of the day, when you sign up to be an offensive lineman and you sign up to be a defensive player at little bitty ages, and they know it because they went through the RYCA or HYS or whatever, when you sign up to play that position, you know that your name ain't going to get called. And that's why linemen, we allow them to do the syrup, pour some syrup on them and pancake them. That's why the defense, we allow them to flex at the stands and look and all that because that's your little mini celebrations within the win. But do they play the role as a team, win or lose? 110%. But they're always going to put it on the leader's back. And they might put it on Bazell's back on a loss or a win sometime too because there might be something he does defensively that is a game-changing moment, and they'll speak on it just for that term. But then the next week, it'll go right back to the quarterback.
You miss that one tackle, and they score the game-winning touchdown.
And they forgot about the other 11
you forgot about the other 6 touchdowns that somebody else gave up.
Right.
Or, you throw 6 touchdowns, but you lose by 6 points. Well, he did a great job, but he also threw 7 picks.
Yeah.
So you got it's.
I love.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get
Before we move on to Roy City, I love the direction Heath is going.
Oh, I do too.
love that they're playing. These tighter ball games. I love that they're learning how to win as a team. Again, for me, this isn't about the big stats and what the quarterbacks are slinging it all over the field for Heath, and this is just about a team coming together and figuring out a way to win. They'll need that same formula Friday night against Rockwall, and if they bring it out there.
These kids had a lot to overcome. Even after the losses, you make the playoffs, you get your first win, you just get rolled in the playoffs. But then everything that happened in the offseason.
Yeah.
And then you lose your coach, and then you got a whole new staff come in. For them to be where they're at now, I think that just says a lot about Coach Webb, who he brought in, the program, and the parents that are buying into it also.
Should be a fun one Friday night. We got to move along. We got to move to Royce City. Let's just jump into Royce City if we can. Y'all good with that?
Yes, sir.
Royce City, the Bulldogs coming in to district play 2-2. They start the season off with a win against Grand Prairie, 40-20. They beat the Colony 49-35. And then they go on the road. They play a really tough Melissa team. They lose 39-7. And this past week against Arlington Bowie, they lose 37-31. And we talk about the Bulldogs, just trying to improve every week. They'll have a tough matchup against North Forney. Who would have thought we were saying that? But that's their first district game of the year. Quarterback Oliver is 349 yards passing this year, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 258 yards rushing, 2 more touchdowns. The running backs, Cockcroft, 479 yards, 5 touchdowns. Also Anderson, 216 yards, 3 touchdowns. Williams, who I would love for them to figure out a way to get him more involved because, man, he's a player. 180 yards, 3 touchdowns. Defensively, Duncan has got 40 total tackles, and then Powell 3 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery. The Bulldogs got a task at hand, with North Forney, and I think we saw North Forney kind of improving last year as I switch over to our Royce City a little graphic there. M&D Real Estate is our sponsor for this segment. Royce City, the Bulldogs, I'm kind of in between on, we're trying to figure out where they are, and we were trying to figure out who their leaders are on defense because I think that's going to play a huge part of what they're trying to do. Brendan, you were at the game. Obviously, you were calling the game, and we were all kind of texting on the game. And the game was really lopsided for a long time. And then the Bulldogs, they fight their way back into that game. Talk about the Bulldogs really quickly, where you think they're at as they head into to play North Forney.
First of all, it's so lopsided that Tanksley left me in the booth. I don't really think I don't know that that's really why. I think his kid had some homecoming festivities and things like that, but it was definitely lopsided. But they made some adjustments at halftime. Defensively were the big ones that I saw. I could see the adjustments that were made. And really shut them down in the second half, and they did not pull their starters, so they were trying to put more points on the board, and they just weren't able to because of the adjustments. Offensively, the quarterback started scrambling and getting yards, and I think they had him pegged in that game as he's going to sit back there and throw dink and dunk, and early on they were covering that. Missed on a couple of deep balls. I think a couple times the route was off by the receiver. Once or twice I think the ball might have been overthrown. But in the second half, everything got tightened up. And when the QB did not see an open receiver was, giving his heart and everything he had trying to go get first downs. He was getting a first down and jumping up, getting celebrated. And what I saw in that game was the first time where I saw teammates kind of coming together for him.
That's big.
And they need that.
Yep.
And because he really is selling out for the team, he just doesn't throw a deep ball all the time to the guy that you want him to throw it to. And the guy get off the bus mentality looks like a absolute freak, right? Yeah. And so everybody wants that big tall kid to catch the ball. And I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Jacory.
Jacory,
yeah.
And I'm telling you, if he does, it's a house call, right? But the way that offense is being run right now is a little bit dink and dunk, a little bit of shorter pass, and the run, and the run has been really successful. So it's not the same offense that we saw last year.
And we saw Oliver run really well in that Colony game.
He
Colony
can run.
game, he was getting out, and it looked a lot like what they were doing last year. With the
Spring.
It was spring. So yeah, I mean, you take advantage of that because they're going to need that.
And even though people say that he's not a scrambler, I think that he's like a spur of the moment scrambler. Like, I mean, when he sees that he's in trouble, he doesn't avoid contact. He sees that he's in trouble, and I've seen him go right up to the gut of the defense and take off. He isn't trying to just run to the sideline, which is key, knowing that the quarterback has that type of heart and passion to get that first down. So I liked watching it. I actually was texting people while I was in the booth because the comeback was on, and I was telling y'all, and I really thought it was going to happen. And I know everybody wants to know what happened on fourth down, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I do not believe that was on the kid at all. I know that people are always going to put that on the kid because the kid was wanting the ball in the hands. There was 3 things that were going against the kid and the team, okay? Number one is the sideline play card to show you if it was third down or fourth down was still third down.
Okay.
The scoreboard was still third down. And Bobby Summers announced third down and whatever all at the same time.
So he had third down mentality.
But hold up. So he's looking at the sideline, and because all of that's going on, this is going on the sideline. And what's that? Spike the ball. He takes the ball, he spikes it. And so at the end of the day, I can't put that on the kid. There are so many people out there, and I know the coaches wouldn't ever want to put that on a kid anyway, and I love everybody over there, and I think they put their heart and soul into what they're trying to do. But when you have that many things going against you in a critical moment, sometimes things like that happen. But, I mean, to see the stands and to see the responses in the stands, I mean, it was laughable for me because I walked out of the booth and walked down and, you know, you can just kind of hear some of the, oh, my God. Oh, yeah. But at the end of the day, they are literally Monday morning quarterbacks that have probably have never even stepped onto turf. They don't even know what it is. And they're up there trying to blame it 100% on the quarterback. And, again,
a 17-year-old kid.
I think that's a team thing. And
that's awesome.
And if you think for a minute that kid isn't hurting over that, he's going to hurt over it regardless of if you're blaming him or not,
and
because he's taking ownership.
I talked to the boys Saturday. I talked to both of them, about that play. Yeah. I talked to Clay before the game and Peyton after the game, and both of them, both of them said the exact same thing. They said, "Oh my gosh, I can only imagine how that kid feels." Look, it's a football game.
Yeah, there was a lot of other things that went on before that. I promise you.
Don't go out there and beat that kid up over the play.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. First of all, I'm really proud of what they did. Okay, they fought back. They got down. It was one-sided, but they kept fighting. That's something that was impressive. They never gave up. And while I agree with you on Jace, they're going to have to figure out how to get that ball downfield. And and if they don't, they're going to have problems. So they've got to figure out, because what we've started to see, and you've seen this too, is teams have started coming in and closing it in on them, and they're putting a safety and a cornerback on Ja'Cory. They're not throwing it to Kenny Abrama, who's the other tall kid on the other side.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not even worried about that guy. Yeah. Right. They're only worried about Ja'Cory. Right. And then so they know Cockcroft. One thing I did like is I saw Aiden Walker. He got in the end zone the other night. So they got him involved, and Anderson and Jace.
And I'm going to tell you, when Aiden gets the ball in his hands, he is like one of those kids that is 110% about that play and that moment, giving everything he's got. And it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Because he gets very few touches, but when he does, he is, electric, trying to find a way to fight for his team. And I love seeing that.
With that being said, though, they've got to figure out how to kind of get rid of that one-dimensional type, scheme that they have on the offense. They're going to, and I don't know how they do it. They've got the offensive lines doing everything they can. They're picking up yards running, but there will come a time as they get a little closer, and luckily they're off this week.
We saw a time last year and the year before where a change happened right before district, and that's normal for coaches, right? They're taking these four games and trying to get better, like Chris says.
Right.
And it's not always to them about winning, where to a fan in the stands, it's always about trying to get that dub, right?
Gotta be perfect.
But sometimes they're actually putting kids in situations where they're hoping they can win. They're hoping they can win and do their job, and they can't. And then they start pulling some people off defense to play offense. And I could see Weaver starting to play a little bit more of a role on the offensive side. His passion and his energy on that defense, if you insert him into H-back, which I think actually for Roy City it's called the F-back or something. Yeah. It's a blocking style back. But anyways, insert him in there a few times and run a little bit of power. If he would run through and put his helmet through somebody's face and then somebody follow him, I mean, that's a drastic block.
I'd love to see them go back to that 2 tight end where they bring Weaver, and Weaver's got to play both ways.
2 tight end, 3 back set.
Because now once you start dumping into the middle and you get into these tight ends, you're running the ball. Now you get guys start creeping up, and now you can take some shots one-on-one early and just throw a jump ball to some guys that are probably going to win a lot of battles in this district.
What I don't think this team can do is continue to get in a shootout week after week.
Right.
No, so
that can't happen.
Coach Lancaster is going to have to figure out a way where he can hold some teams below, to 2 touchdowns. You start every single game 25, 35, 40 points. This team is not built to go in a shootout like that every single game and score 40, 42, 49 points.
That's high school football, though. Their teams are good. Like, they don't have, the defense, and I don't know that there's really a defense in this district that's going to shut down people to like 10 points. They're going to score. Teams are going to score 25, 30 points, and you have to figure out how to. I think Tomball is a great example, and I've talked about this before when they played Heath in that playoff game, Hoover's last year.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
They played the slowest football game that you've ever seen in your life, and they decided that keeping the clock on their side is going to be a defensive weapon for us.
All they did was run the quarterback.
We couldn't stop him. They just ran, and they said, you know what? They'd get up and they'd go have some coffee and go have a little treat on the sideline, and they'd sing songs, and then they'd be like, oh, they got 10 seconds left. Let's go walk up to the line and run another play with the quarterback. I think
that only works though, Chris, if you've got a line that is mammoth enough, and I'm not talking about big, and I'm just talking about a line that can block and you can get 4 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust.
Because if you come in, Roy City can do that.
I agree, but if you come in with the mindset of, hey, I'm gonna milk the clock, and you can't get a first down, then the milk the clock thing is thrown out the window.
Maybe, but it still takes time off the clock, right? Even if you only pick up two first downs, right? You've milked a few minutes off the clock because you give it to Rockwall. And 30 seconds later, they scored, right?
If you're going to milk the clock, you better have a defense that can stop it.
All I'm saying,
you milk the clock against that team, and they're going to put 40 on you anyway.
All I'm saying is Roy City is not a high-powered offense.
Right.
So if you're banking on scoring 42, 50 points a game, you're going to be in trouble, knowing that you're going to give that much up. So I don't know what the coach's thoughts are on trying to either slow it down or whatever. I'm just saying if you're going to give up 30, 40 points a game.
Yeah,
the
mindset in Rockwall County, for the most part, is pick all your players that are dudes and put them on offense, and even the second set of dudes, put them on offense. And then if there's somebody that really begs to play defense, let them play defense, even if they're good, right? Exactly. And I hate that because there's actually some really good ball players on defense that are getting recruited, but there's all this powerhouse talent on the offensive side, and that's why they score. Where I feel like our era, everybody that played football back 90s or before was all about defense and was all about stopping you. And big-time dudes played on defense to keep the score down. Yes. So you're right. Roy City's not going to be able to outscore people week in and week out. We're not going to score 50 or 60 points. So the defense has to step up against North Forney in order for us to have a shot. And I think we do, though.
Here you go again. On paper, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more next week because we're off this week.
Right.
North Forney is no joke. They are.
Yeah, but who have they played? Really, seriously, who have they played? Rowlett hasn't won in years. White House is a rebuilding 5A school.
You got to remember, though, North Forney was picked last.
It doesn't matter what you're picked. Well, you know what?
Well, and everybody's 0-0. So
Exactly.
they still could finish last. But I do
Now,
think
I'm not saying that North Forney's not a good team.
Yeah.
I'm not buying into their 4-0 hype.
Well, I'm not
just
saying I'm
going
not
to
buying
yet.
in, but I'm saying they are putting up points.
Yeah.
And they're scoring that 30, 40 points a game.
Well, we knew they had a quarterback
And-
last year, and we knew he was athletic, and so I can only imagine the kid's way better. I haven't seen their tape, but I saw the points.
I mean,
and
they're
so,
averaging 44 points a game.
Hey, listen,
You know.
listen.
Playing.
No, but when you play, and this goes, I'm not talking about the Cowboys here, but everybody's like, well, they've outscored 70-10 who they play. When you play nobody, you better beat the brakes off nobody.
Right.
And right now, North Forney, they're handling all their teams, which means that's a sign of a good team. Now, you know what happens when they're into these tight games and their quarterback's under some pressure and he's got to throw a touchdown and they've got to drive down the field. That's what we're going to find out about North Forney. I'm listen, because we got to move on to Rockwall, but I'll say this: if they can get Weaver on the offensive side of the ball and give Jace another weapon, another receiver out there for the defenses to think about to relieve some pressure on the outside, so we can get Ja'Cory the ball on the outside. Maybe.
One other quick point I'll make. I forgive me for not knowing who they're playing this week. I'm not sure if they're playing Horn
Who's
or
that?
the Falcons. I don't know who they play this week. If they play Mesquite Horn or
They
if
play Horn this week.
So
we'll
that's
figure out who they are.
That's going to be a great
Yeah,
game
you
to
will.
watch. But here's the
Quick.
deal with Roy City. Of course, we were off this time last year, right?
Mhm.
Now you're going 6 straight district games, and you're going North Forney, then you're going Rockwall.
Yep.
So
It is-
the time for
No time to rest.
no time to rest now.
No.
You better do
So here
all
we
your
are.
adjustments right now.
Well, we'll see what the Bulldogs bring. I'm a little optimistic. Hopefully, I love to see that Oliver's running the ball a little bit more. I love their offensive line. I love their running back. And if they can figure out something on defense and find another solution on the offensive side, who knows? I mean, maybe we'll see.
And look,
where
I'll
they sit.
shout out to the offense, the Struthers and the Harrises and the Logans and all those guys that are up there playing, and the nose guard, Jet Bruner, and those guys. So, look, I'll shout them out. I ain't scared.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. We've already talked about them a little bit with Heath. We're going to just go over their season leading up to district play. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Rockwall Ford is a proud sponsor of Rockwall County Game Day. Shop the Rock and score game-changing savings on our all-American lineup of new Fords. Shop our entire inventory online at rockwallford.com or build your truck your way at preordermyf150.com.
But 100% like in our corner.
Very thorough. They cover everything. They're there for you every step of the way.
It was just great. I felt really taken care of.
Hardworking, trustworthy, and very, very effective.
I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a 1-to-1. I could never be you. Low me tools, no, I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no, I hate these dudes. I'm a 1-to-1. I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single, let go, he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts, like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear 'em out. Bought a new Beamer, I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Handle my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than the check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. I'm a 1-to-1, I could never be you. Little me tools, no, I can't be fooled. Little me tools, no, I hate these dudes.
And we are back. We are live here at Rockwall Ford, and with this segment's brought to you by Hudson Financial Insurance Investment Group, hfgventures.net. We appreciate all the support that they give us. Okay, let's talk about the Yellow Jackets. I was at the last home game, and the Rockwall's just call it how it is. They look good. They dropped the one game to Jesuit early on. They come back with the just incredible win over Prosper, and that kind of recharged them and just kind of, and I think we talked about it. Just I thought that was a really good game if they were going to drop one to lose at Jesuit, especially to lose like they did right at the end of the game. But then to come back with Prosper and then get the big win, and then South Grand Prairie, they went out there and they flexed a little bit. They gave up some yardage, no doubt, and it was probably a closer game than they wanted, but they did a lot of good things, and the Rockwall showed so many times during that game that they can really do whatever they want to do offensively. Defensively is where I think that's the question mark, right? Is a lot of people, these quote unquote experts, that are talking about high school football. They're like, oh, it's the same old Rockwall. It's kind of like a Big 12 mentality. They're going to score a lot of points, but they're going to give up a lot of points and a lot of yardage. Rockwall, they've I've no secret I've been high on them all year. Anytime you have some quarterbacks like they do, I think you're in the game. You're in the game no matter what. And then when you have the playmakers they do, I tell you what. This was the week, Kai Helton steps out again and he makes these spectacular grabs for Rockwall. And, I believe Gooch was he was probably nursing a little bit of an injury or so, I think. And he was kind of he was still productive, but I think that they were featuring some other wide receivers. That's the depth. That's what Rockwall has. They can go really wherever they want to go with the ball. And you can't say enough about Ashton Emery running the ball and what this offensive line is doing. They just, offensively they look really good, and I think defensively, I think they're still kind of searching for that maybe that leader, that Jarrett Stoner, that guy that's just like,
man,
that's a mean dude.
I actually don't think they are. I mean, and I've watched 3 of their games almost start to finish, and I think Overstreet's that dude.
Yeah.
That dude comes downhill with violence on his mind, and I think he would tell you the same. I mean, he is full speed coming down hill, and then another kid that gets overlooked because he's not. I wouldn't say he's flashy, but he just has incredible elite speed. Is that Brendan Ross?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ross chased a kid down that I think was a 4.4 kid. Ross was covering another guy. Ball got thrown across the middle. Kid takes off, and Ross, tracks him down.
There's nothing better than seeing that either. I love watching that. Somebody tracks him down like that across
that's
the field.
4.3, 4.4
awesome.
type speed. That's elite speed, and he's a fast kid. But I really think they found their leader. Would you agree that if anybody out there is the leader on
Jake
defense?
Overstreet is just a flat out leader. I mean, I just mean like. And I guess it's unfair to kind of compare people to Jarrett Stoner, and what he meant to not only football, but what he was doing in wrestling. But they do you think that this Rockwall defense? Are you saying that like, hey, everything's going to run through Jake Overstreet? Like he's the caller, he's the guy that's going to make the difference on that defense.
Even though he's playing safety, it's the safety at Rockwall that is the dude. And no disrespect. I mean, it's just you got a strong, you got a free, and he is the guy that I definitely think it runs through, and I think his emotion plays a role. It looks like to me in the games, and when he is on fire and blowing people up and taking out legs and turning people flips and high-fiving, it seems like everybody else on the defense follows that in his footstep. So but Stoner played a little closer to the line. So you're comparing you're comparing their strong side outside linebacker that went to Mizzou as a wrestler to a safety that's a baseball player. And but who would think that the baseball player with that football mentality is their leader? I absolutely do, and I'm a town over.
Well, if you look at
54 tackles, by the way, total tackles by Overstreet, and that's that's the most I've seen by.
So we're on track to 120 on the year.
Yeah,
might be a dude.
Rockwall's defense is not what it was last year. We all understand that. We all know that. It's just like you said. He's got the Big 12 mentality. You know, you're going to give up a lot of points.
Well, I didn't say that. I said
Well,
they said that.
Well,
I was pointing that out.
But the experts can say it all they want, because here's the problem.
We know I ain't no expert.
We have yet to figure out who's going to stop that offense.
Right.
Okay, so sure, they may give up 35, but they're going to score 45 or 50. Until you figure that out, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. I don't care how bad your defense is.
Yeah,
as
I think
long as your offense can put up there. But they're coming into their own too.
I've got a lot of, and I haven't released them yet. I'm going to tomorrow. But I'm out there with the highlights with the camera. I'll tell you what, I got about 12, 13 really good defensive play, and Mr. Overstreet's on probably about 5 or 6 of those, and so. Agree. I mean, it feels like these teams are getting yardage, but at the end of the day, they're making the stops when they have to.
I'll say something that's probably going to be controversial, so I guess you can cut this one up. But I think it's linebacker play, okay? And I don't know the kids personally, so I'm just saying I'm watching. But let me tell you this too. I think the linebackers could improve. But in a stacked 3-3 defense, the leverage that you're supposed to take and the holes you're supposed to consume according to the play call defensively change. They are not always the same. And early on, linebackers in a stacked 3 defense have to learn where they fit in. And when I say fit in, I'm not talking about fit in, where your playing time is. I'm talking about what hole you need to fit in and stay in. Because if you don't fit and stay, the cutback lane is there. And it's a nightmare in a stack 3-3, because once you get past that first level, especially when we're running all these spreads, you got people in these, all these formations, and the backers are having to pop out. They actually are playing kind of a nickel back, even though they're called the outside linebacker. So now they've got pass coverage, but they've got to do run first, and it puts them in a really tough spot. The middle linebacker most times is a B-to-B filler. So our old school Mike linebacker was a sideline-to-sideline guy. But I would say that in the stack 3, the formation they run seems to be a B-to-B filler. But those outside guys now, since the inside guy's only a B-to-B filler, have to go sideline to C all the time, or sideline to backside B. That's their job. And that's a tough job on a linebacker. So although I'm saying I think linebacker play could step up a little bit, I'm telling you that the outside linebackers have huge shoulders to carry the load in a stack 3-3. It's a tough spot.
If the Heath running backs can pick up some yards and take advantage of some of those linebackers, the new linebackers like Stoner's gone and those guys, and they can start gaining some yards, it's going to get interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Heath defensive backs to cover those big receivers. So it's an interesting dynamic if those Heath running backs can bang those linebackers, and if the Rockwall receivers can get past some of those DBs.
Ashton Emery over 400 yards rushing as well.
Well, I think he's going to get his yards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think Malachi will too.
Yeah.
I think both running backs are like, when we had that triple overtime, like unbelievable game when you had both Zachs like going back and forth, just running like crazy. You could see that again, right? Whatever happens in this game, as far as like one of them, they both put up 600 yards. That's not an indictment on their defenses. That is a rivalry game that no matter what you do, they're not going to let you stop them. It's going to be some crazy turnover, some crazy special teams.
Is Heath running the stack 3 as well? Is it 3-man front? Odd, even, I
can't remember.
Because the advantage that Heath has, and you keep talking about it just seems to me that, our guest might be coming in later and picking Heath. But for right now, it looks at the 3-3, there's a 4-eye is what the D tackles play, or they can play a 5 most times. And if they're in a 4-eye, so they're head up essentially on the person that they're straight, the tackle defensively. That gives Heath's offense an advantage running the football, unless you are stunting and diving and smoke and mirror a little bit there, trying to confuse the offensive line on who they have to block. If you're just trying to man up in that situation, that's why Heath's going to get some of their running yards. But if Rockwall can start blitzing and showing and not blitzing and, doing some of the Salina old 10-1, everybody shows up and everybody backs up, that type of stuff works against a power running offense, because the offensive line can get confused. And if they get confused, it's really tough if you got double teams on 3 guys
L-
because now the linebackers are all free and they can eat.
Look at these two quarterbacks real quick. Landon Locke, 761 yards. Marshall, 469 yards. Landon's got about 20 more attempts than Marshall. But they combined for, I think Landon's got 10 touchdowns. Marshall's got 5. 1 interception between the two. Marshall over 75% completion percentage, where Landon's about 67%. So they're both efficient. They both can do it. It's fascinating to me to just see how they just decide at what point in the game who to use, when to use it. It just seems like, hey, whoever's
you really got to give credit to that offensive line for letting those guys sit back there. If those two guys are able to sit back there all day long, they will pick apart that Heath backfield. It's going to be ridiculous. So those defensive ends for Heath, they better figure out a way to get some pressure on those guys and at least get them running around and moving. Because if you let Landon and Marshall sit back there, there's going to be a long night.
Will Parker Williams play? He was in street clothes for the last game. I'm not sure what the injury was or things like that, but he had a jersey on. So, I mean, he was eligible.
It's really hard to tell in the 4 preseason games because every team up here, Royce City, Rockwall, and Heath, if you have a minor nick in preseason and we can set you out and have you ready for the season, then I feel like that's going to occur with most of these coaches because, number one, you need to look at the other people that can back them up and see what they're about. But, number two, you want your guys, the dudes that you're going to count on for the next game. I mean, Royce City's fixing to go through 6 straight games of physical football. Rockwall and Heath are going to do the same thing.
And you don't want to lose you don't want to lose that first district game, but you certainly don't want to lose the biggest game, which is the rivalry.
Yeah,
so if he can play, I think he'll go.
But I think, earlier interviews with Coach Webb this year, he talked about, not putting too much into this because there's been seasons where one of them will win and then they go on just to be flat the entire, the rest of the year. So yes, you want to win this game, obviously. But it's not going to define your season. One, they're going to end up probably in 2 different divisions for the playoffs, number one. So the name of the game is, hey, we got to get in the playoffs. But 2, that's why they play this game so early, is to get it out of the way. We know it's going to be tough. We know it's going to be.
Can you imagine if this was the last game of the year?
And your life depended on it, meaning – can you get in or are you out?
Exactly.
Because I'm telling you, if it was that type of game, it'd be –
Well, it would hurt them going into the playoffs.
Exactly.
If this was so it's good that it's happening now. It's a good way to open the district play for both of them. But we've seen historically, no matter what happens, even in the route that Rockwall had last year, Heath went on, and they just kept plugging along, and they had a tough year, but they just kept plugging along.
We had a lot of injuries last year.
Yeah,
I think Coach Webb,
once you lose both your receivers and you got one guy that's out there really doing everything, you kind of key on that one guy, and so then you got to start doing other things.
I think he wants to downplay it some too. Look, you don't want to start the district 0-1. You want to win the game. You want to do whatever you can to win the game. That way you can try to carry on to that next season, especially if you're like a Royce City. There's no more days off, so you don't want to go in and drop that first one and then okay, now what are we going to do? Because there's no pushover teams in this district.
No, there's not.
So
there's not.
I mean, are we seeing anything from Mesquite? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean,
Horn's going to be the Horn's.
I know
Horn
is. I'm talking about the Skeeters.
Oh, I thought you said out of Mesquite.
No, I'm talking about Mesquite. I'm a little worried about the Skeeters, but
I don't. But I mean, there's still no real pushover.
Right.
I mean,
I just said if you have marketing money out there in Mesquite, I didn't want to give you my real opinion.
No.
I think I think every game's going to be competitive. Even listen. Tyler Legacy went to Texarkana, Texas High, and played a good game.
Yep.
And Texas High is no joke. They're 5A, but they're legit. So,
it'll be a good one for sure. Plenty of playmakers on both sides of the ball for Rockwall and Heath as well. Okay, it's 7:00. We got a guest that's probably gonna zip line in just a few minutes.
I want to see that.
And so
right
Batman will be in the house. He's going to pick this game. He's going to pick the winner. He's 2-0. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he knows a little something. But don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. Batman will be showing up. We're going to pick a winner, or at least he is. I like to sit this one out because I want no part of it. I just want to see a good, clean game. I want to see everybody come out healthy. and I want the community the community's going to win overall. That's who's going to win is Rockwall ISD. This whole community's going to win.
Oh, that place is going to be rocking Friday night.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Rockwall Ford is a proud sponsor of Rockwall County Game Day. Shop the Rock and score game-changing savings on our all-American lineup of new Fords. Shop our entire inventory online at rockwallford.com or build your truck your way at preordermyf150.com.
But 100% like in our corner.
Very thorough. They cover everything. They're there for you every step of the way.
It was just great, great. I felt really taken care of.
Hardworking, trustworthy, and very, very effective.
I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a 1 to 1. I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1 to 1. I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single like oh he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear them out. Bought a new Beamer, I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Handle my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than the check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Yeah, I could never borrow from no man. How you talking ownership and no land? I got my roll on, now I'm rolling. I drive all my cars like they're stolen. You got on and put your homies out for ransom. I got on and put my homies on the program. Girls to me in my DM tryna link up. I leave them on wreck and get a no jam. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single like oh he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear them out. Bought a new Beamer, I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Handle my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do better than you. Yeah, I could never borrow from no man. How you talking ownership and no land? I got my roll on, now I'm rolling. I drive all my cars like they're stolen. You got on and put your homies out for ransom. I got on and put my homies on the program. Girls to me in my DM tryna link up. I leave them on wreck and get a no jam. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Lil me tools, no I can't be fooled. I'm a one. I'm a one. I'm a 1 to 1, I could never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a 1 to 1, Drop my first single, let go, he rap.
All right. And we are back, Rockwall County Game Day. I am in the driver's seat right now. We have a special guest down on the end.
And I can't believe that the line held him. I mean, as big and strong as that kid is.
It was just a fishing line.
I mean, he zip lined straight in here.
Straight into the chair.
I would just like to say what an honor it is to be up here with some gentlemen that talk some good football and they give back to the community. Not like I do. I fight crime and I'm a little above you guys, but I appreciate all the.
He said a little above us, and he's sitting 4 inches lower.
I think this is the point of the show where you say we've officially jumped the shark.
We
right?
have went over the shark. The shark is there.
What is over there?
It's the camera that makes me look smaller than I am.
All right.
But
you know, I got a question for you though. I heard that Batman does not live underneath Bruce Wayne. I heard that Bruce Wayne lives in Batman's attic. Is that real?
I don't know who Bruce Wayne is, but I have many bat caves, and I will not reveal the bat cave that is around here, as I do watch a lot of Rockwall and Rockwall Heath football. I'm just a big fan of all the things that these students around here are doing. That's all I got to say.
Well, Batman, we are glad.
Are you crying? I mean, your eyes are about to water.
This is killing me.
I mean, it is nuts.
Killing me. I'm so honored. I'm sitting by Batman. Batman.
It is an honor for us to have Batman here tonight, and this is the time of the show where everybody's been waiting.
You should be honored, by the
way. Where we pick our winner for Friday night's football game, and I'll start. I am going to.
Do we have a hat? I mean, can we put a helmet on here?
I'm going to pick Heath in this game.
Wow.
I'm going to pick Heath, and I'm not going to give a score because I don't know, but I'm gonna pick Heath.
Dude, I mean, I think we all had to throw a score. I mean, we got a superhero over here. I mean,
27-21.
27-21.
Heath. So we have a pick down there.
Wow. And
Okay.
Rockwall's missing an extra point, which is kind of. Oh, I guess I kick a couple field goals, I guess, but.
Dude.
There is no doubt in my mind that Rockwall shellacks the Heath Hawks this week.
Whoa.
And I'm going to go with 48-21, and most of the points are going to be scored in the second quarter.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
Mr. Wingfield.
I'm going to have to go with my Hawks. Oh. I think it will be a fairly high-scoring affair. I'm going to say the Hawks are going to win this one 37-34.
Wow.
All right.
All right. He's got a
now
score.
the moment.
Yes.
Batman.
Well, I've been looking at this game extensively in between some crime fighting, and two really good teams, really good, and two really good coaches that know each other so well. And I think what Coach Webb is doing for this community and for these kids, it's gonna be eye popping, and it's gonna be something that really shows itself on Friday night.
Does anybody else feel like their grandpa's telling a story?
Well, you don't know because it's a superhero thing that we
You're just getting around to it.
I think we need to give an inhaler.
Yeah, we just got yes. I would also like to say on the other side, the Yellow Jackets, I've listened to that little munchkin that y'all have sitting over there talk about how great Rockwall is, and this is the year for them. And I gotta agree that they look really good, and man, what can you say about the quarterbacks that Rockwall has? I was here 2 years ago before that amazing game that I watched high above in the stadium, the overtime game, and I talked about if I could have hair, I'd want it like Braden Locks, and still today, if I could have hair, I would love to have Landon Locke's hair. You say that kind of hair can do things for you on the football field, but now you bring in Mason Marshall, who can also throw the ball. And man, you got to love what Coach Brooks and that offensive is doing. I heard somebody around here talking about Jake Overstreet, And I was going to bring up Jake and talk about just what of a leader he is on that defense. And I think that defense is very underrated. Now, when it comes to this game, and you talk about Dutka, the lacrosse machine, the guy that can just get it done. He's coming in for Caleb Hoover, and I just love saying the last name Hoover. Hoover's like, you got to love, and I wish Hoover all the best. But it's Dutka now. Dutka's going to have to lead this team, and I think at the end of the day, the winner of the 2023-24 I-30 Classic in a nail-biter, 2 overtimes by 1 point. The Rockwall Yellow Jackets.
Rockwall Yellow Jackets. 2 overtime.
Victorious.
I cannot handle double overtime.
They will come out victorious.
Tanner McAllister is the guy that I was thinking of. Do y'all remember the name Tanner McAllister? That's the guy that made the difference in that Heath game. So I guess if Heath's going to win, it's going to have to be because of somebody on the defensive side making some ridiculous plays.
I would also like to say to all the kids out there that are aspiring to be me, you will never be me.
Did you hear that, young man?
You will never be me.
He's giving good advice.
But I want you to stay in school and study hard. And maybe you'll have money like I do one day to do cool bat
he
stuff.
is in Rockwall County.
But yeah, I would just like to say that it's going to be a heck of a game. It's going to be awesome to see the community come out. And maybe I show up. Don't be surprised if you see me flying around the field to lend us some support.
You better stay on the Rockwall side after that pick because Heath side's not going to be happy.
And I don't think drones are legal, so I don't know how you're going to fly.
Yeah.
But.
Because I'm a
Superman's
superhero.
Oh, the superpowers are coming out.
Superpowers.
Superman's the only one out on the Heath side.
So Batman has picked. We've got 3 picking for Heath, 2 picking for Heath, and 2 for Rockwall. And Batman.
Hey, he's from Roy City, guys. It's hard to add.
That's it. Two overtimes, 2 overtimes, and a nail biter.
I mean,
Batman with the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Hey, folks, thank you so much for.
Before we go,
yes, sir.
That little guy that sits over there. Man, he's smart when he talks about Dak Prescott.
Oh, my gosh.
Being better than Tony Romo. I got to agree with him, and I just want all of Rockwall County and everybody watching to know that you should listen to that guy down there, not that one, the darker, good-looking one.
The much smaller version.
The much
smaller one. But, yes, have a good night. Good luck on game day.
I've just never noticed that Batman was quite so tan.
I appreciate. Well, we
must have been on vacation.
We were on vacation a little bit this year.
He almost stumped Batman. Hey, folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you next week to preview all the games that happened this week and what's coming up. Thank you so much, Batman, Brandon, Mr. Wingfield. Anytime we all get together, it's a win for Rockwall County. Thank you so much, and y'all have a great rest of your week.
And he told me just to tell you to hit the end on the
hit the end.
Bottom right.
It's the bottom right-hand corner.
Bottom right, there's a little corner that says "In Broadcast." In broadcast. I don't know. Thanks, guys, for hanging. It says blue in a blue